Have you ever looked back at your life and pinpointed one single, ordinary moment that changed everything? A moment where, if you'd turned left instead of right, your entire world would be different. They call it the butterfly effect, the idea that a small change can lead to massive consequences. For me, that small change wasn't a storm or a revolution, it was a haircut. This is the story of how I discovered a part of myself I never knew existed. It's a story about college, friendship, and a secret fascination that began to bloom in the most unexpected way. Settle in, because this is where it all started. My story begins 14 years ago. I was just a regular student at a small, not particularly famous university in the American South. My days were a predictable cycle, hitting the books, shooting hoops in the evening, weekend movie marathons, and hanging out with my buddies. And like most guys my age, I noticed girls. My eyes would wander around the lecture hall, and sometimes we'd debate who was the prettiest girl in our year. Back then, the fashion was comfortable. Most girls wore jeans, t-shirts, and sweatshirts. It was only on special occasions, like a big football game or a formal, that you'd see them really dress up. And their hair, thinking back, I'd sum up the standard styles in 2 words, ponytails and messy buns. That was pretty much it. The only thing that really differed was the length and color. My first year of college flew by in a blur, and before I knew it, finals were looming. A couple of months before exams, my family decided to rent out the converted garage apartment on our property to a family friend who wanted to start a small internet cafe. This was back when broadband was still a novelty, and we thought it was a golden opportunity. But for some reason, business was always slow, and the place was mostly empty. Then, on a lazy Tuesday afternoon, while I was cramming for an exam, the initial conditions for my personal butterfly effect were set in motion. I was studying, half asleep after a big lunch, when my mom, who was on her way out, answered the door. I overheard a man's voice, a father, asking about the internet cafe. He was there to get his daughter, Chloe, set up for online classes because she was about to start at the nearby university. Coincidentally, it was my university, and she was enrolling in my major. My mom popped her head into my room. "Lucas, honey, can you come out here? These folks have some questions about the university." She introduced me and then had to rush off, leaving me alone with them. The father, a friendly but serious man, introduced his daughter, Chloe. When our eyes met, I saw a girl of about 56, with a medium build, a nice round face, and warm, tan skin. She was wearing jeans and a simple shirt, but her hair was different. It wasn't tied up or thrown back. It was silky smooth, let loose, and it fell all the way to the middle of her back. It was cut in a deep U-shape, all combed back and held perfectly in place by a thin, brown, toothed headband. It wasn't that it was spectacularly glamorous. It was just strange and new to see a girl wear her hair completely down like that. The ceiling fan was whirring overhead, and with Chloe sitting right under its edge, the ends of her silky mane lifted and danced ever so slightly. The next half hour felt like a job interview. Her dad grilled me about professors, the curriculum, campus life, everything. But I held my own, answering every question. I must have done okay because a month later I found out she'd enrolled. Finals ended, a short break passed, and college started again. It didn't take long to spot her in the crowded halls. Our paths finally crossed in the computer lab, and I seized the chance to talk to her alone during lunch. I led us to my secret spot, a quiet area behind the parked campus buses, shaded by a line of old oak trees. As we sat down and unpacked our lunches, I finally got a good look at her. She was wearing a simple sundress, and her hair was still loose, but it was different. It was short. She'd gotten it cut into a basic, blunt bob that just brushed her shoulders. It looked fresh, like it had been done just yesterday. She still had that brown headband on, pulling all her hair back from her face. And there was this beautiful inward curl at the ends. Every time she moved her head, her hair swayed with a life of its own. This new look was unlike anything I'd seen. Suddenly, I felt goosebumps. I was excited, and I didn't know why. "You look nice with that haircut," I said, breaking the silence. "Thanks," she replied, a blush touching her cheeks. I was waiting for someone to notice. We talked, we laughed, and by the end of lunch, we were officially friends. But that night, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing, filled with thoughts of her and more specifically of her hair. Was I just excited to be friends with a girl, or was it the hairstyle itself? The next day at college confirmed my suspicion. My eyes were no longer just seeking out Chloe. They were scanning every girl's hair, assessing the length, the texture, the style. I noticed 2 girls from my class had also changed their looks over the break. One had chopped her long hair to her shoulders, another had straightened her wild curls. The pattern was undeniable. A few more sleepless nights and some clandestine research at the nearly empty internet cafe later, I had my answer. The search results were clear. I had a hair fetish. Over the next few months, my friendship with Chloe grew, and so did my secret knowledge. I learned the terms: bobs, bangs, layers. Chloe was my unwitting muse, her hair my favorite subject. My personal favorite was when she'd comb all her hair over one ear and secure it with a clip, letting the rest flow loose. But the real turning point, the moment my fascination exploded into a full-blown passion, happened on a day I was supposed to just return a textbook. It was a Saturday. Chloe was supposed to get a trim at her cousin's home salon. Her cousin, Maya, I arrived on time, eager for the show. But when Maya opened the door, Chloe wasn't there. "Hi, Lucas, you're right on time," Maya said, a knowing smile on her face. She was in her mid-30s, and even her own hair, bundled up in a large clip, was gorgeous. "I thought you'd be with Chloe." A phone call revealed Chloe was stuck in traffic. She'd be half an hour late. The air in the room shifted. It was just the 2 of us. Maya broke the silence. "You know," she said, slowly walking over to the salon chair, "I've never seen a guy so fascinated by hair." I blushed, my brain short-circuiting. She sat in the chair, turning it to face me. "Did you like Chloe's bob?" "Very much," I managed to stammer. "Shut up, there's nothing wrong with that," she said, her voice taking on a teacher's tone. "I think you just like doing women's hair. It's simple." A bold idea sparked in my mind. "So, do you offer trainings?" She smiled. "Haven't trained anyone yet, but I wouldn't mind a student." My heart hammered against my ribs. "We have time. We could start with lesson 1 today." "Let's start with brushing," she said, surprising me as she rotated the chair to face the mirror. What happened next was a whirlwind. I walked behind her, my hands trembling slightly as I removed the clip holding her hair. A cascade of the longest, darkest hair I had ever seen tumbled down her back, reaching the very end of the chair. It was silky but dry, with untidy ends that begged for a trim. I brushed it, sectioned it, and then, emboldened by the moment, I picked up the water sprayer. She saw me in the mirror but didn't protest. I sprayed her hair until it was dripping wet, the water darkening the white of her blouse. Her eyes fluttered closed, and I saw her fingers grip the armrest. The sound of the spray was the only sound in the room. I was combing through her wet, dense locks, lost in the sensation, when... Ding-dong. The doorbell rang, shattering the spell. It was Chloe. Maya jumped up, quickly taking the comb from my hand and clipping her wet hair back. "Just thought I'd brush my hair wet to see how long it was," she joked to a confused Chloe. As I left that day, Maya said goodbye, but her eyes held a new, unreadable message. I drove home in a daze, my mind a chaotic mix of confusion and thrill. Had I just experienced what I thought I had, or had I missed a once-in-a-lifetime chance? The answer came the very next day, as a text message lit up my phone from an unknown number. "Unknown, hi Lucas, it's Maya. Consider lesson 1 complete. I was extremely impressed. Lesson 2 starts next Thursday. Venue and time to be confirmed. Good luck, LOL." And that, my friends, was the moment my life truly diverged. A simple meeting about college admissions had led me to a friendship with Chloe, which in turn led me to a dusty, quiet garage apartment and a pair of scissors. But where would it lead next? What would lesson 2 with the enigmatic Maya entail? And how would my friendship with Chloe survive the secrets I was starting to keep? That is a story for next time.